what I just showed was a very brief passage of one of my speakers in this event called Stand Up for Passion, which I created in New York a few months ago. This guy had an amazing story. This one of my speakers was born crack baby, and now he's 25 years old, and he's got a sort of an amazing New York organization bringing happiness through fitness training all over New York City. And it was just one of the example of one of the person I found in New York City that I think, just like Choice of the Future, is making a difference. And this is what I've been doing, I guess, my whole life, or this is what I've been trying to find around the world, example of place that would either make me happy or others make you happy. And when I met Jenny at one of my friends' events, Anne Keller, who actually did an event here as well. And she's all about emotion and how to bring emotion in this world. And I'm all about happiness, how to bring in happiness in this world. Not so far away. And she asked me, can you make please 20 minutes about your story, why you're doing what you do, and what is your company doing? So I'm like, let's try to, first of all, explain my journey. And I think all of us have a different way to explain our journey. It could be a linear way, a biography, a resume. Mine is, this is how I think. I think in terms of graph, and I think in terms of what is the most important to me. Japan, extremely important, China, Africa, Europe, US, South America, Australia. And I won't go in everything I've done. I'll just go very briefly to see, I guess, for you where I'm coming from and where all my ideas have been developed. Let's stay in Europe. I was born in Europe. As my accent can betray, I'm unfortunately French. I have this ugly, not sexy accent. I was born in Champagne. I moved to Paris. I started in finance. I had a TV show many years ago. I did a number of things in Europe, and lately I'm following innovation school. It's called think.org. Maybe you should check it out. It's a really good school for all sort of creative type. USA has been very important to me since I'm 16 years old. I always thought France was not the country I was supposed to be born into. I thought I was too optimistic to be French. I was too outgoing. I wanted to do things. I wanted to be curious, which is really bad thing in France. They want to put you in boxes. So very fast I left for America. I was 16. I went to Georgia. Maybe not the best place in America, but a very good place to know deep America, where America is, in a way shaped. A very difficult place. I mean, I was the only white guy in 1990 to speak to black people in my school. So it's been a difficult time, but I learned part of America. Then also did my first stint in banking in New York. I've been involved with technology company in America. I've been involved I was in LA for many years as an actor, as a writer, as a director. And question mark, just because I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know what else. And it's part of why I'm living and why I'm happy about living. It's because I don't know what else is going to come up. Whether it's in Europe, in US, Japan. Japan has been part of my life for many years as well. I was 19 the first time I went to Waseda University, which is one of the top universities in Japan, to learn about culture. Then I worked in Cartier, the jewel making. I was one of the first white guys to sell jewels in the luxury headquarters of Tokyo. I put love because actually it's one of the first countries where I really think I experienced love, not just in the way we think love is, which is this romance, this romantic love in a way that people give me this sort of feeling of wanting to help me, wanting to share what I have to say. And I was for a Japanese homestay. So I think, it's one more thing. Love can come from anywhere. And then many other things. French Tuesday is a big social party organization around the world, and I started their event in Japan a few years ago. I was also involved in finance, also had a movie production company in Japan. Africa, for the last few years, I've been started 4 or 5 years ago after being very much involved in big cities around the world, like Hong Kong, like also Beijing, like Tokyo, Paris, New York, LA. 5 years ago I said I need to start to understand, for me to understand how the world works and how everything is intertwined, how what's the best way? How are the people who are not so lucky live? What is the day-to-day life? And I'm like, I need to know Africa. So for the last 5 years, I've been involved a lot in Africa, spending weeks and months in villages in Morocco, in Tanzania, in Kenya, in South Africa. And it's really amazing how I learned that actually happiness is much better understood in those countries than in our country. I mean, they know how to be happy. It's funny, they have nothing, but they are happy just being connected, just being a family together, just living day to day, just being in the present moment. That's what makes them happy. And it's been part of my happiness journey. China, I've been involved in China for the last few years as well. I was lucky enough to be the recipient of a Chinese government grant. And did a lot of things in Hong Kong. Australia, I put Australia love because my sister moved there a few years ago, so I've been able to go there and know this country. And I put a question mark. I know Australia is going to be more and more involved in my life. I don't know how. I'm trusting the universe. I'm trusting what I don't know yet. And it's also how I sort of live my life. And then South America. I've been involved with tribes. I've been spending a few weeks with, especially last time in the Ecuador. I spent 3 weeks with a tribe with my wife actually. No electricity, nothing, snake, I mean everything you can imagine in my hut in Ecuador, in the Amazon. And it's also one more way to understand how happy people live. The only problem there is spending a lot of time in tribes now, also to spend time with tribe in Africa. It's very difficult to bring what I learned from the tribe to our society, because they live in the day-to-day things. They have no idea what they're going to do in 10 minutes. So if any of you have a chance to spend a few weeks with a tribe, I would encourage you to do so, and it's very cheap. It costs me $50 per day, so everyone can do it. Lesson learned from my journey. So before speaking about happiness and what I'm doing in the happiness field, I'll just try to share a few things I learned about those 20 years around the world doing as many things as I could. My goal was to explore the world, as you can tell, was not to make money, was just to, as soon as I had enough money to make a new adventure, I would go, take a flight, and I didn't know how many months I would go. The world is full of possibility. I mean, I know that anybody, and especially this new generation, you can be 20, 22 years old, take your suitcase, a one-way ticket to anywhere. I did it 20 years ago when it was not as easy. Now it's just, there's no more frontier. So anyone can go anywhere and start any sort of business or be involved with anything. Every country is special. There's so many things in each of those countries. I can speak in length about I don't know how many countries. I love, what I love about Japan, let's say it's this sense for details, this sense of beauty, this sense of friendship, this amazing architecture they have, this sense of history. France, what I love is, except for the food, is the dinners. A French dinner is what I miss the most about France. Everything else is fine, I don't need it. We're all capable of exploring new opportunities, country. All you need is desire and open-mindedness. I really believe people say you need talent. It's bullshit. We don't need talent. I've studied enough biographies of people who've done extraordinary things. The only thing we need is, I believe, the desire to do something. That's it. And then we'll find the people on the way. We'll find the money. We'll find whatever that is that we need to do to get where we want to go. And then our lives as themes. As you've seen in my previous thing, Japan, I kept going back for the last 20 years. I went back 5 times actually. Every time between 3 and 12 months. So Japan is a theme in my life. America is a theme in my life. Finance is not anymore a theme. I used to be involved with finance company until I was 28 years old, but now I don't care. But it was a theme for the first, let's say, 12 years of my professional experience. So there's different theme, and I think one cannot go against the theme of your life. We should just accept, okay, this is something that, like, I know Japan is going to be with me forever, America is going to be with me forever, exploring will be with me forever. What we do now is the result of what we've done before. Yeah, it's something that took me years to understand. But I do understand now that whatever we do at the present moment, like me right now, standing here in this room with you, Jenny, thank you again, is the result of everything I've done before. And it's a way to sort of encourage ourselves and to thank ourselves to be where we are now. Whatever you do now, it's the result of everything you've done before. So it's no, I'm not sure I believe so much in coincidence. I believe more in things that happen for a reason or right coincidence. So everything you do now has a reason, and it's either the result of everything you've done before or everything you have not done before. Tradition, this is something very interesting I found with all those cultures and countries. Traditions, I think, are the result of all those local truths that country or region have been doing for years or for centuries. So when someone tells you, oh, but this is not good, this is not the way to do, it's just a tradition. Now I've been in so many countries with so many people in so many fields that I know there is no right way, wrong way to do something. It's just a tradition of doing something. And it's up to us to try a new tradition. What's the future holds? Might be ambitious for me, because I just wrote this morning. I said, okay, I need to say something interesting. So I'm like let's see what I can come up with this morning. Next generation will be international. I just came back from France. I did this event, which I'll talk to you later, called Happy Hacking Days. I was with 90 engineers in France. All of them, most of them were between 22 and 28 years old. Every single one wants to go to London or USA. And they told me in their school, no one wants to stay in France. And maybe 20 years ago, there was like maybe 1 or 2 per class of 30 people. Everyone wants to leave France. I don't know what you say about my country, but the whole world is becoming international. My friend in Tanzania, in the small village of Tanzania, they can't wait for their chance to either go to France or China or Japan. My friend in China, they want to move in Japan or Taiwan or whatever. And it's really an amazing time we're living in, especially 20 years from now. I think we're all going to live by tribes, sort of community, by centers of interest. Those who want to keep local tradition will have a hard time, back on what I just said before. Most of us will have multiple careers. I'm seeing this trend coming and coming. So it's not only a career in terms of I'm doing finance and now I do filmmaking and now I'm going to do design. No. What I'm seeing emerging in Japan, in China, in France, it's people spending a couple days a week doing a job, couple days a week doing something else. And I really feel that 10 years from now, not each of us, but maybe many of us will have different careers at the same time. And this is why the power of education is so important. But nowadays, I was just talking with Paul, our next speaker, we don't need to go to university anymore. You can just open YouTube or call a mentor, call me, or call someone a little bit older than you are and ask advice. Really, you don't need to. I went to different universities around the world. I don't believe we need anymore. And it's fascinating that I see more and more people with multiple careers. I know a guy who's a consultant 2 days a week, he's a DJ 2 days a week, and then he's a painter 2 days a week. And myself, I'll tell you why I'm doing happiness, but it's the way I'm putting everything around happiness is so I can keep being a consultant, I can keep being a filmmaker, I can keep doing a comedy, I can keep being an adventurer. I just want to put everything on the one theme so people get me, and I don't have to explain. Many of us, I really think that many of us will not retire in our own country, and I think people should already think about this. I see that in France, the French people, same thing, because in France, 20 years from now, there won't be any more social security. As you probably know, France is a social security. My dad is lucky to, he's 67 and he has social security. He needs that to live. He's going to get that for the next 15 years. And, in 15 years, I'll probably need to take care of him. He's still alive, because there won't be any social security. So when I'll be 60, 65, there won't be any social security. So if I don't have a net worth somewhere, I don't know where I will be living, but I'm fine with it. I'll be able to live in Thailand, in Philippines, I don't care, in Ecuador. And I see more and more, even in the French population, now I see the middle class, the French middle class, they're buying a small apartment in Morocco, for instance, where it's much cheaper. I see Americans buying things in Ecuador. I see some Chinese people buying things in Thailand. So it's, if we already know now that we will not retire where we're born, it's going to create a different mindset than where we are. We don't need to live as long as we are with the same tribe, same community, same sort of people. I guess it's a given. We must embrace technology or die. I mean, I'm a typical. I mean, I'm working with tech guy. Yet I'm not a tech guy. You know, I barely know how to download anything on my computer. But I'm working with tech people. I love the energy, the tech startup app, and those who don't understand, they're gonna die. I spent the weekend. So I just came back last night from France. That's why I'm a little bit sick and jet lagged. So last weekend during my event, I brought comedians, stand-up comedian in my event with hackers, engineers, comedians who had nothing to do with technology. I brought two of my comedian friends. They were crying during the event, understanding how much the gap exists between what they do and the tech world. They're like, oh my God, I had no idea. Everything existed. For them, it was the discovery of this underground world. They were so much involved in the stage, in emotion, in people, which is good. But they need to know what's happening in this all underground. And I think people, when we don't do anything with that, will, well, I don't know, they won't have jobs or they won't understand what's happening. Because right now I still think it's underground, the tech world, but in 10 years from now we'll be everywhere. Knowledge of self, yeah. The goal, and I will talk about it deeply later, I think it's just, when I see the goal is to be happy or happier in life, it's really to know as much as you can about yourself. And everything you learn about yourself, and everything you learn about how to decrease stress in your life, is actually an investment in your future. Just like if you buy real estate or whatever, it's an investment in your net worth. Anything you learn about life, about anti-stress, will help your future.